Now, I've been an entrepreneur for a while. I'm learning how to say for a while, so that it doesn't sound, I'm learning how to be cute about it. But yes, I've been in the industry for a long time. I met Peter when we were young. Momo, we used to be young and beautiful. And it's amazing to see what entrepreneurship has become, and that we can wrap it up in programs as credible as a Centonomy Entrepreneur. So what I will attempt to do is just share just a few things. There have been many. Just a few things that I think might have some impact, even as we think about how we are going to navigate our entrepreneurial journeys post 17th of October. Is there anybody in the room who understands what I'm trying to say here? Thank you. What a terrible year for entrepreneurs. But anyway, life is not a straight line. Life is not a straight line. They tell you, or they say, you're born, you go to school, which means, I suppose, college, you fix it all in there. You get married. Maybe you get married once, maybe twice, I don't know. I'm going to very, very quickly share 5 principles that I think have really defined my journey. I have always lived in Kenya. I am proudly Kenyan, born and raised. I grew up in the countryside, but I went to school in Mombasa. Spent 14 years of my formative life in Mombasa, then moved on to school. I went to school at Alliance for 6 years. But when I began my career, I was very, very privileged to get into one of the most amazing companies, at least of its time then, BAT, where I was an intern for 18 months. And I still say, because I see Rosemary Muntunkei in the room, she remembers those early days. Those 18 months completely defined my journey. I had the opportunity to intern within the marketing and communications department, and everything that I practice today and more, I learned during those 18 months. Am I talking to somebody here? Yeah. That internship defined the opportunities that brands have. It defined for me opportunities that Africa still needs to battle around. When you think about what brands look like in the US, okay, I'm not asking you to go to America today because I hear Irma is about to show up this weekend. But when you think about, America, the things that define America in your mind, I'm sure, can you just quickly work with me? When I say America, what's coming to your mind? Thank you. No, that's commodity, and I like that you're saying infrastructure, but I'm talking about what brands come to you. Okay, so Coca-Cola and Pepsi and Google, work with me, Walmart. What else is going on there? And something about that definition is really the bigger brand America, right? And you start to size it, you start to size America up very positively because of the strength of those brands. And if you really interrogate that scenario, you find that that same translation is true in Europe. Hello? Eiffel Tower, where are the perfumeries in the room? Okay, the chocolates, hello, yeah? Commodity, but then you can call a chocolate. You can call a chocolate, what will you call it? Thank you, all right? And interestingly, perhaps in the last 20 plus years, we've seen Asia turn the downside of being called South Korea into Samsung. Where is Samsung in the room? Hello? Do you hear me? So Africa, huge gap. If I ask you just name very quickly 10 top African brands, you'll find that we won't have as quick a journey as we just had. And there for me was the opportunity. I'll speak into it right now. So I spent probably 10, 12 years in corporate Kenya. Yes, I was in corporate Kenya. They just tell my story around entrepreneurship. And in that context, amazingly found myself in entrepreneurial engagements because I was always in a startup department, a startup business. FedEx was coming to town and they were looking for people to start up the brand, etc. So I want to say that my entrepreneurial journey, unlike most today, was preceded by grounding in corporate Kenya, and that's important. So courage is one principle. I'll intermittently keep referencing it. Who's my timekeeper? Do I still have 3 hours? Courage. I'm going to speak about capability because this conversation today is made possible because of why that's very valuable. I'll speak into character. I'll speak into commitment. And I cannot sit down before I speak into compassion. All right? And that's really been my journey. So, spent time in corporate Kenya, set up in 2001 a business called Color Creations Limited, together with a couple of business partners. The business continues today. It's heading on to its 18th year, I think. But I have since stepped away from the business. My business partner, Ashad Khan, runs it. And Color Creations really was about producing branded merchandise. Because my experience at FedEx, I was just so frustrated. Why can't you guys just bring up an umbrella that works? Okay. Or why does a t-shirt look very different? I didn't ask for a handkerchief. I asked for a t-shirt. How come after the golf tournament, this thing just 2001. So we set that up, and through the journey of building that business, I don't have too much time to get into that, huge milestones. What he talked about, having vision, mission, is non-negotiable right at the beginning of your business. So within a couple of years of us having invested, we needed clarity of purpose. What is it we were going to do with the assets we acquired? What was going to differentiate us? What was going to build trust around our brand? What was going to build reputation? How are we going to get ourselves made aware so that, you know, people became familiar, and therefore there was a sense of preference, consideration, and conversion. Got it? So that was Color Creations. I spent 9 or so years there, and first business of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa to be fully automated and gain the ISO 9001 certification. I mean, we made some amazing strides, and that then catapulted the business into quite some success. Then I got bored at some point for various reasons. Kenya happened, 2008. Who knows what I'm talking about? And then needed to do much more around the IP space. And so we set up brand strategy design, initially as a practice that focused on brand consultancy, and today has morphed into 4 amazing businesses that focus not just on the practice of strategy, which is insights gathering, differentiation, etc., but implementing the brands that we advise on. So it's one thing to build a strategy, but it's quite another to execute on the strategy. We realize that through the lens of brand. And so we set up Avid Public Relations Limited, and we set up Whiteboard Advertising Limited. And then we realized that every time we had gone to talk to people about brand, they used to ask us, okay, so Eva, does it mean that you can organize a golf tournament? So the became for me a business opportunity. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. Why? Because then we built a consultancy business that focused on capacitating skills around brand innovation, brand communication, and brand management. We have 10 modules that we offer every month on the 3rd week of the month. We work with faculty that we draw from different places of the world. Did you remember me talking about they get brand, we need to get brand? So we've got a good conglomerate of faculty that we have drawn from University of San Francisco, the Gibbs School, Columbia, and some local folk, and we offer these modules every month. It took courage to walk away from the comfort of a regional business position with the glam, the glitz, hello, with a paycheck, thank you, with the benefits. It took courage to imagine that there could be a differentiated thing you could sell and that people would buy. It took courage to sell the proposition initially to friends and family. They're the ones who can trust in your madness, I'm telling you, before you go to the banks. Was I raised an entrepreneur? The big answer is no. I grew up in the safe confines of a family that believed you leave college, you go to Sharia house to look for a job. Yeah, in my day and age, Rosemary, hear me out on this one. You're going into business? No. You're going to work as a lawyer, as an engineer, as a teacher, okay? And we have those in my family. We didn't have any entrepreneurs. So even as I moved into entrepreneurship, everybody thought I wasn't quite all right. So they started to send family to say, is everything okay? That's the reality. And some of them still struggle to try and understand. 17 years later, Kenyans in the room. I went back to school. I spent a year at Strathmore Business School, just trying to tame the passion that was going ahead of me, the audacity that I was chasing after. I needed some level of balance, and I went to school. And in being there, new opportunities emerged, like the brand code and the BSD group was actually crafted whilst this whole discomfort, did I call it boredom, in 2008 was playing out, and I was beginning to feel that it was time to move on. Build your brand. Non-negotiable. You just must. Why? Too much clutter. There's too many of the same stories. You've got to differentiate yourself. You've got to differentiate your offering. Figure out what is unique about the proposition that you're offering. We decided we were going to go all out and build brands for Africa. So we crafted values that delivered on that credibility. Every single day, we make an attempt to practice those. When you differentiate, people notice you. You enjoy favor when you differentiate. So you need to figure out in your respective space, what are the parameters that will define your differentiation? You're able to offer premium financing because your differentiation, people have been made aware of it. When you're different, you drive favor. When you create awareness of your differentiation, don't be different and keep it to yourself. Be different and tell your story, okay? And today, you don't need to buy a billboard, with all due respect to the billboarders in the house. Okay, there's a role for the billboard. But in our new media, you can afford to do these things pretty easily. So build differentiation, build awareness, because in building awareness, people become familiar with your proposition. Okay? Be consistent. Consistency builds trust and credibility. We want what you told us in January to be true in February, to be true in March, to be true in November, to be true in 2015, 17, 18. Consistency will build credibility and trust. And therein lies value. Every year, you must improve the value within your business. Whether it is because you've improved your performance as a business, because your equity has been strengthened, you just must do this. As your business grows and matures, you will find that you will be able to attract stronger market share, okay? You'll be able to, like I said earlier, extend premium financing. You can charge the price because people trust you, you're consistent, you've created a level of referencing. You'll be able to build higher loyalty. Your clients, your customers, your consumers will stay with you as a preference because of this. And in doing that, then, your attrition rates are mitigated. You raise the bar in terms of anyone else who would want to come into your space. You become the reference point. There's power in partnerships. Collaborate. It's very, very old school thinking about just competitiveness. There was a real time when that was what it was. Today, people are smarter for it, okay? People are smarter for it. One of the reasons that Tumia has probably introduced me as a successful entrepreneur must be because I have not been apologetic about recruiting people smarter than me. Hire right. Find them, get them, bring them on board. I have an amazing team of men and women who share in the vision and the dreams and the aspirations of BSD. Get people who believe in your vision and people who will deliver on the promise that you make. We make too many promises and often fall back on the delivery. A brand is a promise made and kept, not just a promise made. Whatever you go out there telling your customers, your consumers, your clients, your partners, your staff, brands are internal and external, must be true because brand is truth. So I've talked about life not being a straight line. I also want to say that opportunity of a lifetime should be taken up within the lifetime of the opportunity. What am I trying to say? Seize the moment. It is a good thing to consider it, to spot it, look at its strength, look at what the challenges are, what are the threats, what are the opportunities. But Lord, don't you just stay thinking for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We don't have that kind of time as entrepreneurs. Seize the moment. In fact, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I saw a lovely little quip from Richard Branson in Business Daily that said something that if somebody asks you, and I loved that Momo said it here. Richard Branson said, if somebody asks you if you can do it, say yes and then figure out how. I want to suggest to you that that's been a lot of my life. I go in there and I can do it. And from the elevator downstairs into the parking, I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, how am I going to do it? Color Creations, my first LPO, I left FedEx, and I must share this story because I want to make that point. I had a little money borrowed from an aunt and some savings and a couple of friends, and I went and bought assets, printing machines. I had no idea about printing. Don't ever tell that to anybody. But the long and short of it is that I was in the 3rd or 4th month of my enterprise, screen printing, and my former employer was very gracious. He thought I was making a huge mistake. In hindsight, I owe him a conversation, but anyway, he said, whatever you want to do, come do it from I'll give you a desk at FedEx, you come do it. But I was just so caught up with this opportunity. So anyway, my very first real LPO came from MRM, Mabati Rollings. They needed all of 5,000 t-shirts. I had never seen so many t-shirts in my life. This is 2001. And my friend had hooked me up with an appointment. She worked there. She said, you come. But you know, we have our regular supplier. I don't know, but you just come and just, so what are you going to tell him about the fact that you're 3 months old in the business? I don't know, I'll figure it out. So anyway, I went there and I met Mr. and he said, so you've been doing this for a while? Well, yeah, I've been, while is relative, right? My friend, I think, had done a pretty good job, but I had samples of work I'd done for FedEx. I had confidence. I had packaged a good pitch. I had shared my dream. I was on point in terms of packaging, personal, hello, not chewing gum and the rest of it. And then he said, no problem. And he gave me an LPO worth 3 million shillings. I didn't even know how to spell 3 million. So here I am, my handbag, my LPO, no problem. And I asked, of course I had to ask, when is it he expects? Oh, we need time, 14, 21 days, we'll be fine. Okay? I said, no problem. 3 months old. I have no suppliers. I have to pay cash. I don't have facilities with the bank. I have no facilities with the bank. I got into my car at Mabati Rollins in industrial area, fungered the door. It was a hot day, rolled up the windows. It helps to be a girl because I burst out in tears and cried my heart out. I needed to do that so that I could start my engine and drive off. So I had no idea day 2, day 3 had no idea. Day 4 had no idea, and I was at Nakumat, UK. I'd gone to buy some groceries, and then as I was pushing my cart to the parking, 2001, guys. So Momo, if you don't have a very good picture of 2001, this isn't personal. And I get out of I'm putting stuff in my boot, and then somehow I look up, and then when I looked there, I saw Fina Bank, and I asked myself, Fina Bank, who are those? Had never known. Remember, I'm coming from corporate Kenya. Long and short is I went back up and I saw that they open at 8:30. A bank that opens at 8:30, 2001. That didn't happen. So the next morning, armed with my LPO, I went in and I saw the askari. Mama, unaenda wapi? Nataka kuna manager. Anakungojea. Ana haja na mimi. I was peering through, didn't know the manager. Then I saw a lady sitting in the manager's office. And anyway, she wasn't busy. So the gentleman, kama ako na haja na manager, hello, doesn't she need me? What do you all think? Went in there, confidently introduced myself, told her about my business, told her that by the time, incidentally, I had about 11 or 14 workers. We are running a printing shop. I might as well have these people. And she just was stunned that first she'd never met me, and here I am coming to ask her to fund me. This woman listened to me and believed in my proposition. And she asked if I had an address. She asked if I had a business that she could visit. Do I have equipment and the rest of it? And I said yes. And at about 3 p.m. that afternoon, she came to visit my business. Long story short, I had money to buy all my materials to fund this initiative in about 72 hours, 2001. I must tell you that as I came from MRM, I think the next day, I went to one of the leading banks, armed with my LPO, thinking that, somebody could consider it. 2001. And the guy looked at me and asked, Does your husband know you're borrowing? Many of you know that I am very active in women's economic empowerment and been a big advocate for a level playing field for women. I was asked, does my husband know I'm borrowing? Here is a woman at FINA Bank who just listened to me, asked me a few personal questions, asked me a few details about my business. Did I have paper trail of the transactions I had had over the last 4 months? And yes, I did. And I was funded. And I honored her trust in me. So confidence, courage, clarity, integrity. Did I talk about character? Commitment. She asked me, would I make good in the 30 days? I made good in the 30 days because client also honored. And the beautiful part of the story is we delivered within 28 days and client then increased their order. Did I talk about loyalty that drives retention? So I talked about capture your client experiences because you mine from them. They teach you something. Use them as testimonials. Use them as points of reference. As I close, I want to talk about the reality of the space that we work in today as entrepreneurs. Some of you are probably even leading teams. You own your businesses. You therefore are also leading the businesses like that, the honor that I have as an entrepreneur. Today we are faced by large scale and rapid change. Think about the entrepreneurs in Florida today. Hello. Okay? Large scale and rapid change because of so many factors that we can't get into right now. We are also faced with increasing social and technical complexities. Life is complex. Marketers are faced with such complexities today. I talked about clutter. There's just too much going on at our consumers. They have more choices, they have more preferences, they have little time. You know, too much. So it's a complex environment that we work in. And in fact, significantly much more competition. So to validate the reason that you're here this morning, and the reason that I want to echo Momo in saying sign up, if the change is like we are seeing it, experiencing it every day, our rate of learning should be much faster than our rate of change. I'm back in school. Actually, from here, I think I have homework. And I will be in school again next year. And I bet I'll be in school again in 2019 by God's grace. Capability cannot be compromised. I'm within the 5 C's I shared. Find a way to get better at the thing that you do. Find a way to outpace your client. You must always know more than your client. Otherwise, they don't need you. Know much more than them. Just because of our realities. The last thing I want to share with you has to do with the fact that I love to read the Bible. And in there are truths that are amazing. For example, this one that I have used for a long time, that I draw from Proverbs 18:16, I believe. Your gifts and talents will bring you before kings and mighty men. Little country girl, growing up somewhere, going to the market with her grandmother, selling avocado every so often and sweet potato and potato, and just living life. But seizing the moment of her childhood I enjoyed the creative arts. I took that very seriously. I worked very hard in school. If you use your gift and your talent, God will honor it. So whatever gift or talent you have within your space of entrepreneurship, work it, mine it, extend it, stretch it, promote it, diversify it. Because it will serve as a gift and the key to open doors that you have never perhaps imagined in your life. Compassion. We're Africans. We live in a continent, in a region, in a country that is bleeding for help. My challenge to all of you entrepreneurs in the room don't be ignorant about the fact that your gift must be shared. Your enterprise must complement the needs that are within our space. Invest. Use your business to make a difference in community. I never woke up saying, one day I'm going to be in the women's economic empowerment space. I was raised by grandparents who taught all of us we were equal, who invested in girls and boys equally and allowed us to go and chase after our dreams. And then one day, I was asked a question by a bank manager. Does your husband know that you're borrowing? It didn't help that I didn't even have him to go and reference. 2001. Because he passed on in 1999. So I sat there wondering at this manager, and I'm wondering, how do I help you to understand that that is the most incorrect question to ask? Going to KRA and finding that the VAT returns disfavor you because of the size of your business. Those things bothered me. And so I got into sharing my personal life and journey because of the things I was experiencing. So as entrepreneurs, I've flashed compassion. You must have a lens of compassion as you build your business, as you grow it, as you reap in the profits. Resilience, because we're not quitting. Hello, October 17th, it will come and go. We are not quitting. Peter, are we quitting? We're not quitting. But join the dots about courage, commitment, capability, character. We have a very, very unfriendly space. And I want to say that things have improved significantly since 2001. But they're still not good enough. I do a lot of advocacy for women, youth, and persons with disability to get involved with the minimum procurement opportunity in government. Then there becomes a problem because they're not paying on time, if they pay at all. You don't quit, you rethink it. We must approach our enterprises with a strong sense of compassion because that's what our region, our nation, our country needs. And you can look through your business and ask, how can I embrace sustainability as an agenda to incorporate, to integrate within our business? We've picked up a few of the SDGs as BSD Group and are living them through as we perform our business. 17 years is difficult to shrink into a few minutes. I hope the few nuggets I've shared have been meaningful. I want to truly thank you for your kind attention.